So here we are with segment 3 of the Aaron Hernandez Netflix docu-series or mini-series review. And so yeah, if you have not watched the first 1 and 2 videos on it, go ahead and click those and then come back to this so you can be brought up to speed. So anywho, yes, that's probably just the petty in me, because there is no way in hell you're about to be comparing me to some other bitches and think that I'm just about to be like, oh, that's just my man, it's okay. Hell no. No. And that's another reason I kind of just don't think that he was gay, because it's like he was just too into bitches. Come on. But I don't know. That's just me. But he did have a very questionable character. And the craziest thing is the NFL knew all of this. Like, they clearly said that his scores for maturity was the lowest possible. He was a very immature individual. And I think that that is what played on him being so, not rambunctious, but played on him being fickle, playing on him getting angry so fast over the smallest things. Because if you think about it, children throw temper tantrums for simple shit. And if he's scoring so low on his level of maturity, his mentality is very, very low, meaning that anything can trigger him. And that's just like a child. So that makes sense. But I blame Gainesville, Florida, the university that he went to, for a lot of these actions. Although that he's his own individual person, I hold them not solely responsible. However, I do hold them responsible for a lot of things that occurred, because they knew a lot of this stuff was going on, and instead of dealing with it, they were sweeping it under the rug. And the more things that he was getting away with, the more shit he thought he could do, because he started to feel like he was untouchable. And so that's just a normal instinct for anybody. Like, oh, I did this and nothing happened, so hey, let me step it up a notch. Let me see what else I can get away with, pretty much. And that was his mentality. And that's unfortunate, but that's a childish mentality. And that's why his level of maturity score was the lowest possible, because only a child thinks like that. Instead of being sorry and remorseful, they continue to do the same thing that got them in trouble, especially if they didn't get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just do a quick little talk like, oh, don't do that again, that was bad, you sweep it under the rug, it's nothing. They're like, oh shit, mommy didn't get that mad, daddy didn't get that mad, let me try this shit again. That's childish, but that's a child for you, until their level of maturity peaks and they're like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do that, because I don't want to test my parents' patience today. I don't want to see how they're going to react to me doing something that I told their ass, or they told my ass not to do, repeatedly. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be on punishment this weekend. I want to go hang out with my friends. But that's once they start to mature. So with his mentality being so immature, I can definitely see him being this angry individual over the slightest thing, like a drink accidentally being spilled on him. You know, I also blame the NFL, because if y'all had to go through hiring private investigators, because y'all know that this man's character is questionable, he he wrote you guys a letter stating that he would be willing to submit willingly to random drug tests up to like 8 a month, which is way more than an average player. And he starts failing the drug test right away. That should go to count towards his character. He's obviously not honest, and he honestly doesn't give a fuck, because after they signed the contracts, what could they do besides make him sit out a game, which is what was happening. He would fail a drug test, he would have to sit out a game. What difference does that make if he's still on the team? He knows that after this game, he's going to still be playing. He knows the more that he plays good for you guys, the less he'll get in trouble for little shit like not failing or not passing his drug test. He was the round 4 draft pick. So to me, that shows that they really didn't, they wanted him for his talent, but at the same time, they were still like on the fence. And I feel like his talent overshadowed the narrative here. Like, I feel like his talent made them put aside their own morals. Because if you knew that this individual had these issues, why allow them to come to your brand? Like, why bring those troubles to you? This just gave him more means to do the shit that he did, because now he's freaking famous. Now he's a celebrity. If you thought that he was getting away with shit as a college student, come on now. He's world famous now. He's playing for a huge franchise that everyone knows. Come on now. Y'all just gave him more means, pretty much. That was all it was. And it's sad because as a healthcare professional, or just someone who's, you know, in the healthcare field, looking to be a healthcare professional as far as become a CRNA. I'm currently in nursing school to be an RN. 2 semesters left. It's sad. It saddens me to know that there are doctors out here who really do not care enough. Like, the paycheck is more important to them than their morals, than their values, and their pledge to do no harm. Because if you guys know that this individual, like so many other individuals, are out here playing in pain, they're out here fucking themselves up, tearing their bodies down, and you're just injecting them with pain medication and telling them, like, okay, you're good, go ahead and play, because we need this money to come in through y'all so that we can keep this franchise running. But at the same time, you know that this is damaging your players, then you should be held just as accountable. Because he said, I love football. This is a quote from the series. He said, I love football more than most people. He said, my body is so fucked up from this football, you know what I mean? This is him on the phone with his fiance. And then he said, the NFL, because she was talking about how they're always shooting, you know, the players up, like, oh, just go play on the pain, whatever, go play, you got it. And then they just give them pain medications. And he said, oh, you know, the NFL, they actually banned that stuff. But guess what? They banned it unless you were seriously injured. But guess who got an injection before every game? And then he paused for a few seconds and he goes, me. So once again, that goes to the doctors not giving a fuck and not upholding their end. That's like how Michael Jackson's doctor, you knew not to give your patient this because of their celebrity and the finance that you were going to receive, the benefits that you were going to receive, that overshadowed your pledge to do no harm. And that's unfortunate. And it's even more unfortunate that Junior Seau was a football player who shot himself in the chest. He committed suicide. All to let his brain be studied for CTE. And his brain showed evidence of CTE. And for those of you who don't know, CTE is a brain disease. It's chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And that brings about memory loss. So like dementia, depression, and it's chronic. So like it's long term. There's no cure for it. And it's painful to know that, or it pains me to know that these individuals are out here really tearing their bodies up for a check and for our entertainment. And it's even worse that the doctors know the damage that are happening to their brains. It's pretty much changing their chemistry. And no, I am not giving Aaron Hernandez a pass for any of the atrocious acts that he committed. However, I do think that it's necessary to look at some of the things that may have contributed to these actions, because anybody who can literally be dancing in the club 1 minute with someone and then out of nowhere switches, pushes them out the way, and now is staring daggers at his friend, and then a few days later kills his friend, or has his friend killed while he's there, and there's no rhyme or reason to this having happened. He just randomly got an attitude. No one knows why this happened. Something mentally had broken. Something did. And it's just unfortunate, and it's sad all around that, you know, there were so many people in his life that could have stopped this behavior, because obviously so many people saw the ruthless behavior, but no one wanted to stand up to him because obviously he was ruthless. But as his friend, there are certain things, and as his friend, as his boss, as his doctor, as his fiance, they all played a role in this, because she was obviously a sweet girl. From some of the audio recording that was played, you know, when he was acting up, she would say little things to him, like correct him in his behavior and the things that he said. She would kind of stand up to him. But also, I think that the relationship that he didn't have with his mother also led to this, because even on one of those audio recordings, he was like, you know, if I was there or you were talking to me like that right now and I was there, I would have probably punched you in the face. Talking to his own mother. So obviously something's disconnected, because who the hell threatens to punch their mother? Who? You know? And it was crazy because like the town and her school was like, once he won like the Super Bowl or something like that, the freaking school was like parading her around and making her feel loved. They threw like this thing in the auditorium or in the school cafeteria or whatever, and like celebrating her for being this boy's or this man's mother, and she didn't deserve it. So when you watch that part of the series, you actually see the pain in her face, or like the shame in her face, because it's shame more than anything. I don't think it was pain, because you're the mother. You can have that relationship with your child if you put in the effort. I think it was more so shame. And I just hate that they were using, or that the prosecutors were trying to use being gay or being a closeted gay as an excuse or as a reason for this. Because a quote from it, it says, a prosecutor's attempt to say these actions were because he was a closeted gay man, and that conflict made him strike out in anger of people. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, because that's doing an injustice to those who are gay and who are not out of the closet yet, but who are not killing people and hurting people because they're hurting inside. You know, like the other man who said that he was just going to play football and play football and play football and then eventually kill himself. He wasn't out here just beating up on people or killing people because he was angry. He was internalizing it. And there are so many other people out here who go through that, who, you know, have to live in the closet because they're afraid of what their families or their friends or society is going to think. But yet they're living with that. They're not killing other people. They're not harming people just for the hell of it, because they're hurting on the inside. And it's unfortunate, because my little brother was gay, and you know, one of the people who killed him, or the person who killed him, was honestly in the closet. And, you know, that was one of the excuses, like, oh, well, I couldn't be myself, and this, that, and the third. And, you know, I didn't want to hear that excuse, because there's too many people out here that are gay and that are living in the closet, and they're not freaking killing people. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there are some who are closeted or who are on the DL and they're afraid to be found out. So yes, they do commit these crimes. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I've seen it happen more times than not. But in this particular case, I'm not going for that one. I'm not going for it, because there wasn't enough people on there telling me that he was gay. There was that one individual. And if he was around all of these other people, and no one else heard of any of this, this didn't happen around anyone else, I don't believe it. You can't tell me now that after this man is dead, all of a sudden, now you guys had a secret relationship. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. Now, if it was more people, maybe. But you, just you, I'm not buying it. I'm not for one bit. And he was also called a sociopath in the series. And I can say that he had some tendencies, but I think he was more of a psychopath than a sociopath. And the reason I say that is because a sociopath has a conscience, although it's weak. So like, they know that they're doing wrong, and sometimes they may feel bad that they're doing wrong, but it won't change the behavior or stop the behavior. However, a psychopath doesn't have a conscience at all. Like, they just don't care. And I feel like looking at the home surveillance cameras of him and his home after having just killed his friend or gotten his friend killed, whichever one actually happened. And he's just in there having fun, lounging around by the pool and playing with his baby girl and handing her off to one of these murderers that he was so scared of his life. And he's just having the time of his life. He's giving them dap and all of this shit. There was no conscience. And the fact that he was friends with this man and he just went on with his life like there was nothing, just like he shot and killed those people allegedly, and he just continued on with his life like there was nothing. Just like he shot his friend dead in the face, and there was just, he went on like there was nothing. He freaking hit the manager at the freaking the bar like it was nothing. Went on with his night like there was no issue. The way that he told his mother he wished he was around so he could punch her in the face like it was nothing. No matter how angry you get at your mother, are you gonna tell her that you wish that she was around so you could punch her in the face? Hell no, because you know mama probably gonna pull up and whoop your ass because you just don't talk to your mom like that. No matter how grown you get, no matter how rich you get, that's just something you don't do. And we typically, as people with a conscience, we know better. And he obviously did not. No matter what the relationship is with your mother, you can cut her off, but you're not going to just disrespect her. So for those reasons alone, and his impaired empathy, like, he wasn't empathetic towards his friend's situation anyway. Like, he wasn't empathetic towards his fiance's sister who's sitting there crying. I didn't see him cry and break down about anything until the last segment where he was found not guilty for killing the two people in the car. He broke down, and I feel like what they said was true. His daughter was there. His daughter was 4 years old, and he ended up killing himself like 2 days later. And I do feel like he cried seeing his daughter because he knew that he was never going to see her again. And I think that his child, because he said it, like, you know, that's all he missed out here in the world. That's all he missed while he was here in the world free. And that's all he missed while he was locked up was his daughter. So I feel like that hurt him, seeing her 4 years old, you know, and just knowing that he wasn't going to be around to see her. I believe that that's the only thing that made him cry. And that's the reason that he did cry, because he wasn't, I don't necessarily want to say he was, well, he kind of was antisocial to a certain degree, because he didn't really hang out with the other football players. He kind of stayed with the same people that he knew from childhood. But he was kind of antisocial because the slightest thing would set him the fuck off. Like, it was so weird, you know. This whole case is just so sad and heartbreaking because there's so many lives that got affected by this individual. The family of Odom, or what is his name? Not Odom. Is that his name? Odin something. Yes, the family of Odin Lloyd. The family of the two guys that were killed in the car that night. Aaron Hernandez, his own family. There was so many lives that were affected by this individual or the circumstances around this individual in this case. And it's just unfortunate. It's so sad on so many ends. It's sad because those are mothers losing their child. There's, sisters losing their brothers. There's children losing their fathers. There's friends losing their friend. There's significant others losing their significant other. There's fans who lost one of their sports idols. There was just so much loss because of this individual. And then he kills himself because he supposedly got outed by some bitch who was just being a bitch at the end of the day, because that wasn't her place. No matter how you didn't like him or his actions, you still have to think about the fact that he had a child and the fact that he was engaged. So not only are you hurting him, you're hurting his loved ones, because you don't even know this shit to be true. You know what I'm saying? There's no reputable source that proved any homosexual things occurred. So you just put that out there, and that wasn't right, because if he didn't want to be outed, that was his choice. That's everybody's own battle that they have to pick, and they do it in their own timing. Now, do I think that he killed himself because he was outed? If he was truly gay, I don't think that was the case. That may have played a part if he was gay, or undercover or down low or whatever. But I ultimately think that he really did sacrifice himself because he wanted to provide for his fiance and his daughter. I feel like once he found out about that law, I don't think he thought far enough, because obviously the Patriots weren't going to just be trying to willy-nilly write a check. Now that they've lost their player, they're trying to get their money back, or try to use the money to recruit or draft the next big thing. So obviously, no, they don't want to be paying off your fiance and your child, because it's a business at the end of the day. I just feel like this ultimately was a lot of loss. It was a lot of loss, a lot of heartache. And I think that a lot of this could have been prevented had he just sought help, and he had the right people in his corner to make him go get the help. I feel like his fiance should have spoke up a little bit more, because it does seem like he respected her, at least to the point where she was talking to him and saying things. And even I was like, damn, she cutting into him, and that's that, huh? And like, he would come back the next time they talked and just be like, I don't want to argue. Let's just not even pick up there. Let's just talk about something else. So I feel like he did respect her. And I feel like if she would have spoken up and said, hey, let's go get you some therapy. Like, I'm seeing things that I don't think is right. I feel like she might have been able to get him to go to therapy. I feel like the relationship between her and her sister is probably forever broken, because, love makes you do some crazy shit, and with them both loving their significant others, this one being engaged to one of them, the murder suspect, and, having a child with the murder suspect, and this one being in a relationship with the victim, and them sitting on opposite sides of the courtroom. Like I said, one wanting justice for her man being killed, and the other one wanting her man to go free. So they're, that's a tug of war, because you obviously want to be there for your sister. Obviously, they both probably wanted to be there for each other. Like, yes, I just lost my man and I'm heartbroken. And she's probably like, oh, little sis, you just lost your man. I'm so sorry. But then she's probably also thinking like, shit, well, I want my man to come home. And then the other one's probably like, yeah, if he didn't do this, he deserves to come home and be with you and my niece. So there's a lot of tug of war, a lot of actions, a lot of heartache. And ultimately, like I said, it's just sad. It was a very good series. I feel like they did a really good job. I do feel like they could have not went so heavy in on the homosexual aspect of it, because like that one reporter said, there was really no evidence to prove that he was homosexual. And I don't like the fact that I feel like they were trying to use being a secret or closeted gay man as an excuse to do these heinous crimes. Like I said, I can't say alleged with Odom, because obviously he got charged with that, or Odin, because he got charged with that. But the other alleged cases, I don't feel like he can use that stuff is an excuse, if it was true or not. I don't see that, and I don't think that that's fair to the gay community, because I have nothing against the gay community, and I don't think that others should have that in their mind about, you know, closeted gay men. Like, I feel like, yeah, everybody should come out the closet, but I do know that everyone has their own journey, their own reasons for not coming out. Just like that one individual, the one man who said that he was just going to play football till he beat his body up so bad that he eventually killed himself, because he didn't want the narrative of him being gay. So, you know, you just never know someone's struggle. You never know what they're going through. And, you know, it's all about the environment. I do wish that he was able to keep himself from coming so close to the things that was ultimately his demise and ultimately played into his downfall. Because, you know, you have a lot of yes men around you when you become famous and when you become rich. And I think ultimately he had yes men. And I do think that he was kind of unraveled and unhinged. I do think that he probably should have taken medication. Yeah, I feel like he just had a mental disorder, and he needed help. Ultimately, he definitely needed help, because there were so many things that just made no sense. Like, but that's that young mentality. He was just childish mentally, you know. So it's just unfortunate. But I do feel like Netflix did a good job, besides the things that I pointed out in the docuseries. I feel like I loved all the audio recordings, because you got like inside intel and like real life information. I liked some of the interviews, not all of the interviews. I liked the footage. Ultimately, like I said, it was pretty good. It was actually very good. I think that they did a good job. I think that they did justice. I really liked the fact that they didn't pick a side, you know, because ultimately there were victims in here that weren't necessarily Aaron Hernandez, because they didn't, I like the fact that they didn't let his celebrity overshadow the fact that the true victims were the ones who lost their lives at the hand of him or others. I do like that. I feel like Netflix did that very fair. I like the fact that they were allowing Olden's mother to come on, and how they portrayed her and how she, you know, ultimately portrayed herself. So with that being said, this video, or this segment, got a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I had to get that out because this is the end of the segment. So I hope that you liked this video. So please leave your comments below if you watched it. Like and subscribe, people. Please like and subscribe. So as always, you are now exiting Nigeria's world.